Good evening, viewers. My name is Imran. I'm a UK and international tax specialist. Once again, I'm here with another interesting video. In this video, I will explain to you what are capital allowances in the UK. So stay with me. I will explain to you in more detail. This topic is highly tested in ACCA, ACA, and CTA exam. It is also helping viewers in understanding the relevant legislation on capital allowances. Remember, if you don't understand the legislation, you will not be able to answer in your question paper, or you will not be able to answer in your exam and in practice. So you need to understand legislation. So the legislation explains to you what are capital allowances, what are qualifying expenditure, what are non-qualifying expenditure. So stay with me. I will explain to you with examples. Now, remember, when you buy any asset, we capitalize those assets, or simple, we add them to the balance sheet. Asset, fixed asset, we add them to the balance sheet. Then we depreciate those assets. However, when it comes to corporation tax, we add back those depreciation. If you have seen my videos on introduction to corporation tax, I explained to you why we adding back depreciation, because depreciation is a capital expenditures. We adding it back. However, one can ask this question: why we adding it back? And then, for example, if I buy an asset, then what kind of relief I will get? So you will get a relief in the form of capital allowances. For example, if you spend £100 and those are qualifying expenditure, you will claim £100 relief. If you spend £100,000 and those expenditure are qualifying expenditure, then you will claim £100,000 relief. However, the mechanism works slightly different. To understand the mechanism, you need to understand the legislation. As I say, knowledge is a key. Now, definition of plant and machinery, very important, because the definition of plant and machinery is found in the Capital Allowance Act 2001. So there is also a significant body of case laws discussing what is and what is not plant. However, we should treat an asset that has an expected life of 2 or more years to be employed permanently in the business, because in this complicated world, the businesses keep spending money on assets, and those assets, HMRC keep challenging them, and HMRC believe that these are not qualifying for as a plant and machinery. However, then the court, you take the matter to the tribunal, and the tribunal, from tribunal to the high court, and then the court of appeal. So there are various cases where there are cases, fights between HMRC and the businesses. Then the court and the laws establish that whether this could be treated as a plant and machinery or not. Now, capital allowances, building. The building are part of setting in which the business is carried will not qualify as plant. So the building does not qualify as plant. It includes the following. So for example, in exam, if they're saying is there's a wall, floors, ceiling, doors, gates, shutters, window, stairs, you cannot claim capital allowances on those. In financial accounting, you will add them to the fixed asset. Yes, you will depreciate them. And that's why HMRC say, okay, you not allow, the depreciation is not allowable in corporation tax. You claim capital allowance instead. However, the capital allowance is not available on those expenditure. For example, if you buy and if you spend money on the walls, floors, ceilings, doors, gates, shutters, window and stairs, so they are non-qualifying, or they cannot be treated as plant. Main services and system of water, electricity and gas, this cannot be considered as plant, and you cannot claim capital allowances. Water disposal system, sewerage and drainage system, shafts or other similar structure, fire safety system, you cannot claim capital allowances. Also remember the provision of structure or other asset in list B, or any works involving the alteration of land. So the list B contains the following: tunnels, bridge, pavement, road, car park, canal or basin, dams, bogs, dikes, and sea walls. So if you incur, or a business incur expenses on those list B item, they cannot claim capital allowances. Now we came to qualifying expenditures. Expenditure on any of items below will be treated as expenditure on planned and will qualify for capital allowances. So thermal insulation of building, personal security such as CCTV, integral future, software, and list C items. So list C item, it include 33 items. So on those items you can claim capital allowances. In exam, if you get those information, so make sure you include them in the relevant pools and start to claim capital allowances. Now, the list C comprises 33 items. Here are some of the more common ones you may come across in practice. For example, partition walls were movable and intended to be moved during the qualifying activity. For example, if they are fixed wall like other walls, you cannot claim capital allowances. However, the partition wall were movable and intended to be moved during the qualifying activity. Decorative asset provided for the enjoyment of public in hotel, restaurant, or similar trade, and swimming pools. Remember, you can claim capital allowance on swimming pool as well. Very important and very useful. Expenditure on the following will also be plant and machinery qualifying for capital allowances. Altering a building for the purposes of installing plant and machinery. For example, if you must alter the wall to install the plant, so the cost of alteration can be added for capital allowance purpose. For example, you bought a plant and machinery and that qualifies for capital allowance purpose, and then you have to place this machinery in a secure place, and you have to alter the wall, or you have to alter the surface. So the cost of alteration can be added to the cost of plant and machinery, and you can add them to the relevant pool and start claiming capital allowances. Also, demolition costs. For example, if you have to demolish a surface to install a plant and machinery, and that plant and machinery qualify for capital allowances, so the demolition cost can be also added to the relevant cost of plant and machinery, and then you can start claiming capital allowances. In this case, the capital allowance will be bigger, and then you will pay less corporation tax, or the company would pay less corporation tax. Thermal insulation of building also qualifying for capital allowances. Also useful to remember, capital allowances are not given on plant and machinery used for business entertainment. Hospitality of any kind counts as business entertainment. However, plant and machinery provided by a business for its employee and director does not count as provided for business entertainment. In this case, capital allowances will therefore be available. For example, if a company buy a refrigerator or TV, and then for the use of employees, so on those refrigerator and television, they can claim capital allowances. Integral features, very important. The expense will qualify for plant and machinery allowances if they are classified as integral feature. It will include escalators, lift, and moving walkways. We see it on daily basis. Internal heating system, air conditioning, and air cooling system. Hot and cold water system, excluding toilet and kitchen area, power system, electric lighting, and external solar shading. So it's good to know the list, because any cost related to walls, window, shutters, so then obviously there will be non-qualifying expenditure for capital allowance purpose. Also any payment, roads, canals, and they do not qualify. So there are some expenses which are qualified as plant and machinery. So you need to understand the definition of plant and machinery. You need to know what are integral feature, because you will be highly tested in your exam, and in practice it's good to know the list, and it's good to memorize them, because you will not be given to you in exam. Thanks for watching. My job was to make it very easy and clear for you. However, if you do have any queries or questions, you can drop me a line or two. I'll be making another 1 or 2 videos on capital allowances to include any computation, other parts, for example, AIA, how to work out your capital allowances. So I will be making a separate videos. You can subscribe to my channel, and now I wish you a very good night.